Hey, thanks for tuning in to my live stream. Today I'm going to be working back on phpstan-drupal, which is what I usually do on my Wednesday contribution streams. Last week I picked back off after some silent time and merged some issues that helped improve the static analysis of entity queries in Drupal, specifically with the requirement to call this accessCheck method. So if you haven't tuned in before, this method says, should we perform access checks on the query, like to filter out unpublished or inaccessible entities? And we have one last area where it doesn't work right, and that's when you don't have, where the calls to the method are not chained. So in that instance, it would be, I'll actually just go to the pull request and show. So normally if it's like you call the query, like get query, then access check, and everything's in one line, it works fine. But when you have code like this, it breaks down. And that's because we have some internal code inside phpstan-drupal to make phpstan think that this query has something with access check or not when this is called. And last stream I was trying to figure out how this works because it's like a side effect, right? Like it's a method that modifies the object itself and not just what it returns. And so far all of our code fixes the return type. And then I asked on the discussions, I opened a discussion, and then the maintainer of phpstan was like, use a type specifying extension, which during last stream I looked at, but I just kind of brushed off because I'm so used to it when using like the phpstan PHP unit. So self assert not null, assert instance of causes phpstan to read the test code and know that, oh, okay, this is going to be this instance. But when I looked at it further, it does not need to have some incoming argument to make an effect on. It can be itself. So that's what I'm going to work on today, is picking this issue back up to create a type specifying extension to solve these test cases. And I'm hoping it actually lets us clean up a lot of code. Like we may not need the dynamic return type extensions we have currently. We might get by with just this type specifying extension. So I'm excited to see that come through today and gonna get hacking. So I think I already have this branch locally, but let's just get started. So if I do GitHub PR check out 497, just make sure it's up to date. All right. So let's go ahead and open this test. Wait for phpstan to get to it. And you're going to see if we can get the failure. Wait a second. Where is... Oh, 496. That's right. 496 is right here. So let's go ahead and run this test. Probably have to rerun it because it fails. Whenever I run it, it fails the first time. Let's see if we get lucky. All right, so again, this is our test case. And it failed because there should be no errors. It says that there are two. So let's go ahead. That's great. We have our failing test case. We're doing test-driven development. And this is why I like doing test-driven development, because it's a lot easier to have a failing test and fix it than it is to just blindly fix the code. So let's read the docs. So type specifying extensions allow you to specify types of expressions based on certain type checking function and method calls. So this is the interface, and cannot receive. This is how you write the extension for the above example. Oh, that's just services. So I guess let's go and find somewhere to put this in here. Rules reflection. where does phpstan hold this? Type. So let's go into type, and we'll do we have entity query in here, so why don't I put it under entity query? So type entity query. Let's do, call the file new accessCheck, type specifying extension .php. I'm going to copy this. And do final class access check implements the static method. It's not static method though. I need to go find the proper interface for, we don't want static, we want namespaces, type, what else is in type? So method type, specify an extension. All right, implements, because it's not a static method. Method. Let's add the method stub. So get class. And this get class is string. This would have been PHP framework assert class. This is going to be on, let's see, just to make sure I get it right, I'm going to copy the instance. So it'd be query interface. So I'm going to go ahead and actually right click to copy the full path, copy the reference, and return it here. And then is method supported? We do return method reflection, get name is equal to accessCheck, and I'm making sure I copy paste stuff here because I have plenty of times done typos and then nothing runs. All right, so specify types. Now this is what, there's no docs here. This is where when reading the docs, I get confused because is the return type being run against the argument or the object itself? By checking functions. So that's where I'm still not sure if this is going to do it. It is what we need, but I don't know if it's going to work right. Cannot have type specifier injected in a constructor due to circular dependent. Extensions can implement. So this type specifier can implement type specifier where this type. Then we got to register it. So let's register it first, and then I'm going to see if I can get this to integrate. So we've got our extension.neon, parameters, Drupal, where we got all the services. All right, so we'll add it to the bottom. Copy the path. It is not a static method type. It is a method type. So we copy the string down there. All right, so we have this. Now I want to find an actual working implementation of this. So that way I know, I get a better idea of what I'm doing. Reflection class is subclass of type. So is everything here a type specifier where? What goes on in this? Create expression for types. All right, I'm going to just implement this as well, as it seems like a good idea. Wait. Oh, because we need this setter implemented. Generic object type. Oh. The context, and you see what's all in here. Create truthy, null, do. I guess what I'm gonna have to do, I'm just gonna return null in here. That doesn't work. That's gonna error out. Specify types. Man, I really feel like this is not gonna work like I want it to. But I'm gonna return this empty and see if I can discern how to implement this type specifier. So I've got it registered. Let's actually put a breakpoint on is method supported to make sure it gets registered, or even here. So I'm going to go and run debug and just make sure this gets picked up. Because if it gets picked up, we're going to hit these breakpoints to see if it even does the checks. Now I'm going to try to read this. So this gets the expression, which is the value type before type. But this requires having an expression, the type, create truthy. This should have a way to get an expression or not, because it's not, it's the phpstan reflection. So we gotta wait for the breakpoint to catch and see what's happening here. So assuming extension implement, so this, why is this taking so long? Oh, previous breakpoint. Okay, so we are at line 25. It's been loaded. Let's step over. So that means it is at least registered. Play through. Method reflection. Well, I actually don't know what the name for this one is, but let's just play through because it did go through. So we're here. We're able to specify the types. I'm pretty sure this return, it's going to break. So we need an expression and the type, but maybe not, because as far as I'm sure types, not sure types. So maybe I don't need this type specifier with the expression. So let's see here. Method reflection. We got the variance, function variant, return type. Okay, so we have the return type. Let's do return type equals method reflection. Method reflection. Get throw type, declaring class. Self out type. I don't know what that does. Prototype variance. Never mind. Okay, we got to try something else. We got to do a. I can't think of what the code is off the top of my head. There we go. It's this helper of parameter acceptor select single return type. So I'm going to rerun the test. And since we have this method called, we should be able to modify the return type and pass it in the sure types, and it will work, I hope. This would be a good time to go review the PHP unit code, which before I do that, let's see if I have it. I should have it locally. I do not. So let's look at the extension it has while waiting for the test to get to the code. So we got type, assert. Okay, so assert method type specifying extension. So assert typing is supported. Scope, function name, node args. Okay, so this again works on arguments. Yeah. So let's look here. Our return type. So what we can do here is if the return type is not an instance of this content entity query type extends entity query type. So let's do this copy. So if it's not an extension of that, return new specified types, return type. We're just going to return what exists, because again, this constructor takes sure types, sure not types, overwrite. Ooh, we should overwrite, I believe. Let's see, this does not create truthy. Sure. Let's wrong instance of that. So, all right, well, we'll just leave it there. No, we're not. Let me go look at that other, the default instance, which this calls type specifier create. If not expression, blah, 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 blah. Else, or create for types equal null. New types, create for expression. Where's the return type? Overwrite false. Overwrite is false. New types, overwrite is false. So it looks like the overwrite is normally false. I wish I knew what that really meant, but let's try it as is. I'm just trying to make sure I get it. All right. So this, if this isn't one of the return types we mess with, we ignore it. And then what we should be able to do here is say return type with accessCheck, and that with accessCheck creates a new instance of itself that flags the accessCheck as true. So let's go restart. Uh-oh. Array string. Oh. Am I doing this wrong? It's warning me that it expects, constructor expects an array of string expression type. Oh, so maybe this is not the easiest way to return it. Each new types. Types with union? No. So let's do create for expression. Sure types. So sure types. I have to stop that since it's gonna break. Sure. So sure types expression string is print of the expression. Yep. I don't think this will. I don't know if this is gonna work. So expression string. So if not equal to the original sure types. Okay, so it needs an expression and then the type, which in this case, the expression is the value node. So we have the node. So let's do so expression would be node the var, the caller. So I should go ahead now and inject this type specifier, or I have it. Okay, so this would be now this, oh, not return new, this type specifier create, that's the expression, return type is the type, and then type specifier context. We want to create a truthy. Okay, I see. So then we do a type specifier context, a truthy context, which means that yes, this is true. So that would make this be this type specifier create expression type with access type, and then a truthy since here. So I'm going to put my breakpoint down low and run it, and we'll see what happens. So we might still need to have some of these return types in here, but maybe not. So we have a ridiculous amount, and I can never remember which one it is. Entity storage. Nope, this is for the storage type. Entity storage type. Get query returns the. Okay, this is what returns the query type. And then we have entity query without. So I'm hoping that this access type specifying extension can deprecate or remove this entity query return type, because we won't need a return type anymore if this is modifying the query, because that should be the same as the return type, I hope. But that's what we'll have to see. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and step over and see where this takes us. So specified types, sure types, query. That's the expression. Access check true. But it doesn't say it's entity type anymore. I think that's okay. So we're going to step through. And just see what should overwrite. Add type to expression. Scope. Okay, I see. So it's not. So the overwrite means. So like right here it says overwrite. That reassigns it. Where add type to expression probably just adds it like a union type. So we might need to do this assign. So if I do add type to expression, this specify, and if we did invalidate, I don't know what the other one is. So add to, if it equals, do an intersection, otherwise specify does another intersect. So we may need to change that. And let's go ahead and play through. So the method name is, okay, var type. We have the content entity query type, and accessCheck is true. So it worked. Let's play through it again. And the test passed. Awesome. So let's just run it. Sweet. That's great. So I'm gonna run this entire test suite. And let's see if it all passes. And if it all passes, I'm going to push it up, and then I'm going to try messing with this dynamic return type extension to see if it does the same thing. Oh. Hey, just read the chat. Sorry, I got pigeonholed on this. Can you try ChatGPT and see if it can write the test case for you? Let's see. I am going to do a offline video comparing ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, and there's something else I just found too. But let's see if we can have this generate a phpstan test. And hey, yeah, long time no see. I took a bit of a hiatus, but trying to get back with the back on a schedule with this. So let's see. I am a PHP software engineer that is writing an extension that is using phpstan for static code analysis. I need to write, this could write the test case, but I'm going to try something else real quick. I need to write a type specifying extension for, let's see, can you generate the code sample for me? Let's see. It'll take a bit to think. And I'll see if I can do the test case. But this passed. All of those passed. So this is great. Let's commit this. Git diff. Git commit. Oh, wait. PHP vendor bin. PHP CS. Let's get some habits checked first. Okay, so that was fine. Now let's just get with phpstan. Oh, right. Here we go. ChatGPT is popping stuff out. It's doing a dynamic return type return type extension, not type specifying. But either way, the fact it knows this is pretty great. One error, so let's go. I mean, this is pretty cool that it at least has a sample, and I'll see if I can get it to generate a test case for this rule. I know the Rector folks have been working hard on making it to automatically generate PHP unit tests. To write write PHP unit tests, but now you can just have ChatGPT do it. All right, so use type specifying extension for access check. Typo. Language you refuse to spend any time in, yet it makes so much money. Network error. Oh, son of a man. All right. I don't know what happened. Well, it's under high load. Maybe if I refresh, it'll come back in the history. What's this up? Oh. Let's see. All right. So let's go look at the pull request. Did it save it? Oh no. Bummer. All right, so that's going to run. But yeah, I want to do a video comparing ChatGTP and GitHub Copilot for how I would automate or how I would try to generate some code. Doing it offline because everything could go wrong while doing a live stream with it. So I figured that way I can control the quality a little bit more. All right. This is what I wanted to test. So let's go ahead and edit our extension and find this definition. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. And now this was our code that said, hey, on the return type for accessCheck, it's actually the entity query with accessCheck enabled. But now that we have the type specifying extension, it should do the same thing. So let's hit run. And now that type specifying extension will cover chained and unchained method calls. Nope. All right. It is not the same. Or it works similar, but we need both. So if we look at the test case for 0, oh, it's way in there. But if we look at any of these other test cases, everything's chained. So I'm guessing that because this using chained is all using return types, that calling this accessCheck with the type specifying doesn't translate, but it does cover the gaps now. So I'm going to replay my test. And then I'm actually going to uncomment these as well. Look at right here. This is a test case that was broken by unchained calls. And I knew we had this logged somewhere. Yep, right here. So let's rerun this. And also passes when run individually. We had a caching issue too, and just this probably needs to be uncommented. All right, so let's get this one added as well and rerun. And we might have just solved in these, since last week and this week, all the remaining quirks was doing analysis over this accessCheck method. That passed. Let's see about this one too. 437. Oh, this might not work, but let's see. That's what we had an issue of. Is this vocabulary query was typed, like when having a typed property down here, it got lost. Yeah, 437. Yeah. So that's going to stay because that has not been figured out. Oops. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so I've used ChatGPT to generate some Kubernetes stuff and like basic code. One thing I was talking about in my last stream is I see GitHub Copilot great for juniors and mid-level developers who have to like just bang out boilerplate code all the time, or doing like repeatable tasks, or they need to like pair program with someone that's not actually there. Or not, no, wait, sorry, I take that back. For just generating code and being fast about really mundane things, where I've used ChatGTP to discuss, like, all right, I need to explain this to somebody else. Like, how would I explain this concept to a junior developer? Or how would I do this and use it more as like a rubber duck or a paired programming type person to get better results than I would by just going to Google or Bing or whatever, like doing internet searches? It helps me just drill down where I need to go. So I use it to generate some samples, but nothing I would copy paste. Um, and that's why I want to compare GitHub Copilot, because they're both GPT in the back end, just one's a chat bot and one generates code and has been trained on more code. So I want to see the comparison and if I would change my mind instead of going to ChatGTP and having it be like my, mini developer assistant. Would it actually be Copilot? Because I could just type in some comments and it generates code. But you know, if you go to GitHub Copilot, you can't say, explain to me the solid principles for software engineering. You can't go to GitHub Copilot and have this explained to you. Things that you could go on the internet and read, and this you can at least ask it to go into more details. Of course, everything with AI should be taken with a grain of salt, just like everything you read on the internet. But I've been using it a lot and having some fun with it. There we go. So like here, then I could say, um, can you explain more about the dependency inversion principle? And then it will go more in depth. So I guess this would be great for like anybody that wants to learn how to program. You can go into this and like have it explain concepts, and then go, now you know what to actually go look for and learn against. Because everything that you learn with, you get a bias. So if you're getting a bias from AI that might be kind of wrong, you could read an article that's kind of wrong too. Previously commented tests that are now fixed. What's that? Yeah, so it is really interesting, and I think it's extremely helpful. I'd love to see someone do a comparison of copying code samples from Stack Overflow versus ChatGTP and see what's better or worse. I feel like it's going to be a good 50-50. Although I'm sure a lot of the code was trained off of examples scraped from Stack Overflow. All right, I'm going to wait for this to finish building. And then I'm going to tackle a few other issues to just get another release out. So I should start to figure that. There was one interesting bug around the service definitions because it could be a string. So it has to do with now that Drupal supports auto wiring of services finally. Service names are just class names because they don't need to have a longer definition. So there's a handful of things that have to be changed. But the problem is getting something reproducible. So I have to see where and how we can test this. So we have all these fixtures in here. I'm guessing service provider test, service map. I'll have to change this. No, this shouldn't break. Or what do they have? String containing the there's not enough context here. So I'm going to ask, can you provide more context on the service definition? We have these tests here. I need to see if there's what tests are running against this. Drupal class resolver. Yeah, so we have what rules testing this? Okay, so it is here. So that is passing. And get instance class resolver. Oh, wait a second. No, it's got service. Wait. Get instance from definition. Service, shoot. That's not it. We want shoot. I gotta look at this again. No, here it is. Yeah. We have tests for this. Where did that definition go? Service map test. Here we are. Or not. Wait, this is different. This has the class entry here. Well, I'm going to. I'd like to reproduce, but need more info. Because maybe this is not set up like I thought. But all right, well, I'm just going to skip that one. This is still running. Nope. Let's merge it. And that's going to solve a huge chunk of issues. All right. So let's go to actual issues. I'm going to close this. Wait. What did that other pull request close then? Should have been linked, merged. Merge, false access check. Oh, for 496. Oh, I guess it got. Yeah, wait, what? Oh, because it didn't say fixes. Test cases 4. Where'd the PR go? That's why, because the pull request didn't have it didn't actually say fixes blah. It just said test cases for. So if it would have said fixes, it would have actually closed it. So let's go back to the issues. This isn't true. I'm not at least ready to do that. Let's go pick some easy stubs. Do not allow. Oh, this might be a bug worth checking. But let's do some stub work. So again, stubs are a way of like overriding PHP docs to make them be more type specific. If they're not, like if there's a bunch of inherit docs and somewhere you know it's going to return a different type than what the interface says. So in this case, field item list create item says that it's going to return a the create item returns type data interface, but it's always going to be a field item interface. So if we were to go open that class, before I forget, let's get back onto the main branch. And pull. So if we look at create item calls the plugin manager, which calls create field item. That interface, oh, it says field item interface. How did that get messed up? Why? Never mind. Oh, this is why. Okay. So the field type plugin manager says it returns this type, but it overrides create item from item list, and that actually says type data interface. That's why. So let's create a new branch for 499. And we'll go to our stubs. So field item list is in the core field namespace. We got core field item list interface. I think we could probably just do that. And then we'll test it. Oh, because it's not on the interface though, so it has to be because it's protected. So we'll create a new stub called field item list dot stub. For this part. And these have to be similar to the class. We had errors where if we didn't stub out all the things that extended, it had issues, but I couldn't get that to ever replicate in the tests. It's like this data type. We don't have type data plugin. So like here, I might have to stub out item lists. I won't. I'll see if it errors out. I'm not going to do the extra work right now. So we have class field item list, and we have create item. So like in here, where's an example? No. I just want to brush up. It's been a while. I did it, and we have it now for all of the field items. I want to make sure stub files. It's like source code. So namespace must match. The method bodies can be empty. That's right. It's only interested in PHP docs. So we can copy this. Delete. And so we could think we could just fix the return type. So let's field item interface. We want it to say it returns that. And we all these get added automatically. So now we can write a test, which could have wrote a test for first, but so if we did type, I think that's how we're testing all of these field types. Yep. Okay. This is where we test all those field stubs. So for this, field types, any types test. What do we do here? Any type stubs. How did I get to here? Field item list, create item. Return type. How did I even end up at this point? All right. Let's just go into here. So bug 499.php. I don't even remember how I got to this point. When did I open this? I opened not too long ago, 2 weeks ago. Give it a namespace, bug 499. And what was the example way I had? Some of these. This. Bug 499. So we did how? Let's get entity. How did I even get? I need to figure out how I even got to here to. Like, how did it end up at this point? Because then I can know how to test it. Oh, with compute value. That's why. Okay. Because I was working on a computed field and I had to call this create item. Okay. I can do this. So class computed field item list. Let's split these. Yeah, I was working on a computed list, and then this through an error. Of course, the error is going over to the side. So it says property field item list array blah 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 does not accept type data interface. That's what I found. So here's the test. We can do computed field item list. Extends field item list. Use computed item list trait. Let's add the stub. I'm going to say this list 0 goes this create item 0 foo. So now with the stub, this should pass. I'm just going to add it here. to the entity type stubs because why not? 499. And the fact, well, this still says there's an error. Data provider. Oh, let me rerun. That's that weird bug. Error. Bug 499 does not contain any asserts. Oh, shoot. Yep, so this is a rule. This is a rule test. But not. Here you go. Let's do item equals. Shoot, that's right. This would be having to run a rule. So let's get the function. And we'll have to do the assert type. So we'll do assert type is field item interface. Assert type. There we go. Type. Let's run it now. Okay, here we go. Expected Drupal core field item interface. We still got the type data, so I think it might be due to the fact we need to specify the PHP doc. So we say, what is it, like at return. Because we can't enhance with just return types. Stub files are just, they read PHP docs. So hopefully this does it. All right, so that passed. So any type stubs, bug 499. This didn't error out, which should actually impact this itself. No, because this isn't running the code. All right, so that fixes that. It'd be nice to actually run that test directly and scan it, but then I've got to instantiate phpstan tests. But this should do it. So this create item passes. So I'll create a PR for it. Yeah. Git commit AV. Stub field item list interface. Field item list. Create item return type. Git push. Origin. Git, what is this? GitHub 499. PR create. Let's edit the body. Fixes. 499. Submit. Right, so that will close that issue. This should be added along using discussions. Yeah, I wanted to talk about if people needed help or they could find help. New branch 493. Edit this README and figure out what would be a good place to put it. So sponsors, which if your organization is looking to sponsor this development, I have GitHub sponsors set up. Usage, excluding test. Maybe we should go near the top. So usage, maybe after usage, I'll put getting help and link to GitHub discussions or channel on Drupal Slack. Where'd the preview button go? Here we go. In side by side. So getting help works. Let's go to a great example, phpstan. And see sponsors, documentation, phpstan Pro contributing. There's nothing actually about accessing discussions because people probably know. Let's see. I think this will be enough. It points people like getting help, ask for assistance in discussions, or phpstan channel on Drupal Slack. Good enough. Git commit AV. Add links for discussion and Drupal. Drupal Slack channel fixes 493. Git push. And new pull request. All right. So see how far that one's coming along. This has got its own PR now too. And this is another one, like entity to link expects string null. It actually expects like stringable. And wait, PHP stringable. When was that even added? I'm pretty sure that was added to identify something that can be converted to a string. PHP 8. So I just need to update it. I think Drupal started to fix this itself in some areas, but only in Drupal 10, which required PHP 8.1. So I think this can be fixed. Let's see. Well, no, that's the fix is to cast it to a string, but we want to try to avoid that. All right. So that passed. This one's going. So I'll start over here. Just crank these out. New branch for 422. So I'm going to go ahead and just write the test for this one. Entity interface to link expects string null. Translatable markup was given. Well, actually, it's not even that. String null given. So let's go data. Again, do bug 422.php. Namespace bug 422. I'm actually going to name it. No, we'll just do test. So in here, we could say node equals node load 1, 2, 3. Assert that node is not equal to null. By doing this, we're just saying like, yep, it's not null because it's going to be the NAG interface. I think, oh, wait. Again, this is not testable this way. It involves testing the arguments that are going in to it's testing the arguments going into toLink, not the return value. Like we need toLink to say that it accepts translatable markup, string, or null. Entity parameter type hint rule. Get deprecated. No, that's not. This is it. Entity parameters. So, wait, what is this even checking? That there's no errors. Why would this? 1 second. I'm so confused. I wrote this in May. Why? Add stubs. Okay, so I did do it for stubs. Okay, great. This is why, because I did it for all the stubs. So why don't we just change this to missing function parameter type hint rule. How? Missing parameter type hint, missing type hint check. This is not the one I want though. I need to run one of phpstan's tests like this that verify the incoming method parameters. So missing, it's not functions. Under methods, method signature rule, no. It's not the missing return type. What is it called? Call to consistent constructor rule. Nope. Incompatible default parameter type rule. No, that's the default type. Call check comparison helper. Where is this called? Compare. Let's find the usages. For what rule? Overriding consistent constructor. No, that's not what we want. Yeah. Expects. Invoked with blah expects. Okay, so is this call static call methods rule? Okay, it's in call methods rule. So that means we'll have to write a test for that. So I'm going to this, so we'll do a call methods. Should be for stubs. How do I want to phrase this? Because it's for testing the stubs. So maybe I'll do stubs call methods rule test.php. So final class stubs extends Drupal rule test case. Get rule return. Oops. Return new Call methods rule. Excuse me. And I'm going to go find this in the phpstan source test so I know how to construct it. And then test rule. And data will be bug 422, which I need to make. New space bug 42. So how this happened was if we did node equals node load 1 2 3, and then we said use new translatable markup foo. We did node to URL or to link rather with text, or if we did node to link node label. We'll do here assert that the node is not equal to null. And there we go. So this right here should be fixed by call, but need to check this, how this is constructed. And also ignore it. It's not part of the API, but we need to test it. Nope, not end to end. No, shoot. Not end to end. phpstan. Rules. Methods. Call methods rule test. And the constructor. Or the get rule. Get rule. Whoa. We'll get back up. New rule level helper. Oh, jeez. Why do I feel like I feel like I've done this? Let's see. Reflection provider. Nope, I have not. I could have swore I did. Rule level helper. We're gonna import C. Put this to true. Check this only. We'll say false, because that's what it looks like it has there. Check union types is true. Check explicitly mix. I'm setting that to false. Let's see. Can I skip any of those? No. All required. Okay. So rule level helper and all of these. PHP version will default to the current one. Okay, why is this erroring? It's got to import the classes. All right. Let me import all these real quick, and I think it'll be good to start testing all the items. So let's just run it and then we'll see what happens. It should fail because I didn't add the stub yet. Rerun. That's going. I'm going to merge the discussions. Boom. That reruns. There we go. I actually don't know if there are any discussions open besides the release notes. All right, well, this didn't throw a warning. Yep. All right, nope. But this should error to link text. Oh, this one actually says markup interface. Entity interface to link. Oh, now this supports. Where was I on that it didn't support this? Or how old? When did this get fixed? Base. I sure don't remember it being this way. So let's go to Drupal core and find out. So this is open in June. So I got fixed sometime since June. Composer, show Drupal core. I don't even know what version of Drupal core is installed locally. 9.5. So let's go to entity and see entity base, entity interface. That's what we want, entity interface. And to link. Oh, wait. What does this say? Also accepts render array. What? It actually accepts. Okay, so this was fixed with why do I see it with 9.5 if it was only committed to 10.0? Oh, because it was cherry picked. Got it. It was the PHP doc was fixed for 9.4.x and 9.5.x. 9.5.x and 10.0.x. We don't know if phpstan-drupal should provide a fix anymore since, yeah, when was this closed? 2 months ago? November 28th. Yeah. Since Drupal core has fixed the PHP doc. I'm actually not going to do anything about this. Since anything under 9.3 is no longer supported, under 9.4, I think I'll just close this. All right. Well, that turned out to be a non-issue because it got fixed automatically. All right. So let's refresh and find the next thing to work on. Let's see. I don't need 422. I'm not going to use this test anymore. So I can check out main. Excuse me. Documenting used for generics with reference entities. I want to work on this. Oh, that is a documentation, which so skip for now. On this offset, yeah, cannot use string offsets in Drupal extension 152, but the original issue I can't replicate because it was a very old version of DrupalCheck or something. So I'm going to just pass on that. Do not allow passing translatable markup exceptions to exceptions as their message. This is a pretty big bug and needs its own rule. So I'm going to just label it and triage it as an enhancement and a rule. Because it causes some serialization issues. If you put translatable markup as an exception message, it can serialize inside PHP unit or elsewhere. And then you're serializing the Drupal container before you know it. Fix possible return types with access result as a stub. Foo should return small proof of concept. So foo returns allowed or forbidden. Incorrect type hint on access result when the condition is true. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about this. Yeah, having these stub out using conditional return types. I think I might save this for the next sprint the next live stream because that's going to be a bigger one. So I'm going to put a pin. How do you pin issues? Boom. Picking this up for next development stream can be accomplished via stubs and conditional returns in PHP doc. So why don't I set myself up for success by linking those said docs? Writing PHP code, PHP doc types, conditional, like a type, conditional return types. Yeah. So using these conditional return types, we could say that allowed if size is positive int or size is true, like we can have it know what should be returned. So this way you could say if true, it will know to return allowed because it's not just a generic access result. So I'm going to pin that. What else do I have pinned actually? I have nothing pinned. Okay. No, I don't. Oh, there it is. Okay. I have one pinned issue. I forgot. I have the refined GitHub and it moves this around a bit. So this detect when callbacks invoke statically, but the method is not static. That might be hard, but this is one I want to work on. Track deprecated global drush constants. We have to do this for Drupal itself. Oh, looks like this was carried over and is merged. Created up a follow-up issue 488. Oh, wait a second. Oh, this was an issue and this is the actual. Let's do. I'll pin this one too. This would be. Do we have a list of the deprecated constants? What is it? Drush ops. Drush. I'm just going to check this one out quick, and then I'm probably going to get ready to tie it off. I kind of feel like garbage as well. So let's see. Legacy? Nope. Bootstrap? Yep. Here we go. Is it just the ones here? All right. So there's that issue. Provide a way to disable rules via flags. Entity queries are only required for content entities. This is actually important. One thing I forgot is that the entity access check rule only should apply to content entity types. If we know it's a config entity, don't. And it does not do that. So I'm going to pin this one too because people are probably writing code they don't have to. But should verify this as well. Not new window. Stop. Is it deprecated? To approve argument checks. What's this? Service arguments are not verified against construct. That's known. Runtime. How to handle effort. Let's see. Okay, so here's a few more from the summer. Yeah. All right. Just going to triage these. It doesn't report missing parameter on create function. Oh boy. So when doing a constructor, when using the new static, it misses the amount of constructor. Oh, geez. So phpstan handles new static very loosely, because static is not concrete, and I wish I would have been good to future mat self and actually link to this, but this might be near impossible to solve just because of how phpstan works. And yeah, this is pinned because I need to see if I need to ping some Drupal core maintainers about this to see if this is true or not. Actually, Drupal entity query access check required. And it's, here we go. I think this is it. I tried to set my browser style to have the font at 18 to be better for the screen share, but there's some sites it didn't hold into. I had to hack something for GitHub to get this to be the decent size. Um, so Entity Query Access Check allows developers to specify whether only content entities that the user has access to should be returned. But that's the thing. Access Check is on it's a method for all entities, not just config. Um, so that's where it's wrong. Although all entity queries support this method, core only actually implements access checking on the results for content entities that use SQL storage. Okay. So let's see how this is used, because I feel like if this access check, add tag. Yeah, so when access check is flagged, it adds the tag of entity access, and others could tap into it as well. Um, so just because Drupal core, like this isn't, I don't think this is true. Because everything could tap into this. Never mind, SQL query. This access check. So never mind, it is right. Query based. Yeah, it's okay. So it is only SQL queries, which means it's only content entities. So this is true. So we'd have to say type entity query execute without. Oh no. And it gets transformed from the array type. Oh, shoot. Turn node type. This method call. Wait, this is on anything that has the string execute. Oh, I think this needs to be. This is. Oh, because it checks the type that we have. So the problem is we have these types, and we set them entity query count type, entity query type, config entity. I feel like it needs to not care about the access check here. So what is this? This is possible fix in remove. It's like if we know it's a config entity query, if we know it is a config entity query, remove the has access check call. The problem is that eventually it'd be nice if config entities had support for this and had better permission access rather than just administer. So I might let this dangle too, because it's better to be safe than sorry. But at least there's some more context there. So thanks for hanging out. That was a good triage. Actually, wait, I should tag this release before I go. I'm about to head off, but let's tag this release. Let's draft a new release. Choose tag. Let's bump it to 2.28. Generate the release notes. Create discussion. And publish. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, I'll probably work on an access result or maybe something else, but probably that. Thanks for tuning in.